Got my license in January of 1975.
As far as real estate license, wow, 50
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Congratulations, half a century.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a congratulations or how are things going. Um, and I sold real estate in Boulder, Colorado
Okay.
for almost 25 years. I was in the top 10 internationally for Remax and top
Oh,
10 in the United States in the 90s, and left selling in 1999. Sold my business, which was pretty unique. Sold my business for over $300,000 in 1999, and that got into coaching in 1999 with Mike Ferry. Coached there for about 7 years, and then I joined MAPS when Diana became president of MAPS, or vice president at the time of MAPS. I couldn't stay with Mike Ferry, so I moved over to MAPS, and then we built, with her building most of it and I just kind of riding along. We built MAPS to almost 5,000 one-on-one clients, or had a revenue of almost $100 million. It was the last year $100 million in revenue at MAPS, and created, she had Bold. She wrote Bold. 175,000 people went through Bold. And then I coached. I've done about 30,000 coaching calls.
whoa.
So, and most of my coaching calls were with top agents. So, one of the things I was known for is helping people think different, think bigger. A lot of realtors don't think big enough. And one of the guys I still talk to a lot, he keeps me up what he's doing in the real estate industry. His team did 3,800 closings last year.
That's moving.
Yeah. So how do you go? When I met him, they were doing 45. How do you develop my first coaching call was with April of 2000, so it's 24 years. Here's the interesting thing, Chris. The groundwork we laid in 2000 is still the groundwork of his business to do 3,800 closings. So
Wow.
the only thing that occurred in 24 years is absolute total consistency in two areas. You're a realtor, you're a great realtor. What do you think the two areas of consistency are?
I'd say having a coach and lead generation.
Lead generation. His team, which is over 300 people today,
Wow.
his team has not missed a day of lead generation since April 2000.
Whoa. That's consistency.
Consistency. The other place of consistency is also a forgotten term in leverage, efficiency.
Hmm.
Efficiency is nothing more than being really highly skilled. So when we hired new people in, say, 2000, 2001, 2002, in the beginning, they were 125 contacts to an appointment, working themselves down to 20, 25 contacts to an appointment. Today, they're trained so that when they get on the phones, they're already at 25 contacts to an appointment, working down to 5 or 10 contacts to an appointment. So consistently, all the difference between 2000 and 2024 was nothing more than consistency and two areas of leverage: more people, more consistency, and more skill building. That's it.
Wow.
Nothing's changed. His business looks exactly the same, except he had 3, now he has over 300.
Wow.
So our plan is eventually that he will own his state, doing 7,000 closings a year. We set up about 15 years ago.
Incredible. Boy, and he sounds like you guys are sticking to it. That's amazing.
Chris, if you stick to it, what happens?
You're going to get some results that you can measure and make adjustments and probably accomplish or blow past your goal at some point.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow.
So that's it. And we talked a little bit about prepare to listen. So in all my coaching calls, I prepared to listen. So what's the first thing you want to do to really listen well? Make sure your desk is absolutely what?
Cleared off?
Yep.
Okay.
If I look here and see something, where's my mind going to go?
To whatever you just focused on.
Yep. So are you totally prepared? Is there nothing on your desk other than the note file for them so that I have a clear desk, so I have a clear mind? My goal is while the phone is ringing, I usually had 10 to 12 questions that I could ask one of them along the way. So as the phone is ringing, I'm just focusing on, okay, here's my questions. So I'm going to listen for what word?
Listen for what word? Boy, you might have to help me out on this one, Tony.
Hello.
Right at the beginning.
So I'm listening to the first word out of their mouth. Because if I'm working with somebody, could I have a different hello every week?
Yes.
I could have an energetic hello. I could have a depressed hello. I could have a weak hello. I could get something different than a hello.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm listening to that first word, if I get hello, and I normally get, hello, how are you doing? What's my first question? Well, right from there, I've got a question. What's happening? That's not your normal hello. What's going on? I just had a $1 million deal fall. Do you want to talk about that first, or do you want to just go into the call? Well, I want to talk a little bit about it. Okay. At that point, on the word hello, I have 12 questions to ask you. Guess what my agenda just did?
To the side.
Put aside and immediately go to their because what's the goal now? The deal fell. It's $1 million deal. It's a $30,000 commission. This was the 90s, 2000s, 2010. I don't care when. $1 million deal, 30,000 commission is impactful. So now, listening to that, what's my goal?
To understand, come from curiosity and seek to understand from their perspective.
So tell me what's going on. What's my ultimate goal of that conversation? Get them out of that funk into doing business as fast as possible. You got 10 seconds to sit in this mud. You could choose to sit in it a day. You could sit in it for the rest of the year. That one deal could screw up your whole year worth of real estate, yes or no?
Right.
So my goal is to get them out of that funk, okay? Or we'll say, look, it's now, time is it? Whatever the time is. It's 1:13. Okay, it's 1:13 today. Let's do this. Can you be out of this funk and functioning again by 1:13 tomorrow? Yeah, I can. Well, if you can do it by 1:13, could you do it by noon? I listen to the answer. Because their answer is one of two things. Believable or what?
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. How do you know when it's believable or unbelievable? So when you listen, most people listen with their what?
Ears?
Ears.
Yeah.
And really, you listen with your whole body. You listen with your heart. You prospect, you negotiate contracts.
Right.
Can you feel a lie or not a lie? How about an unbelief or a belief? Can you feel the difference in your body?
Absolutely, yeah.
If you're really listening, you're listening really with your whole body. You can tell, like I coach. Somebody, I'm going to do 20 contacts a day this week for the whole week. Really? Well, let me ask you a question. This is how important it is, Chris. I'll just role play it with you. This is how important it is. You're going to do 20 contacts a day for how many days? Role play it with me.
All week, Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday, 5 days, so you're going to do 100 contacts.
Right.
Really?
Yes.
honestly, 100 contacts? Really?
I'm
Perfect.
feeling. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. This is a brutal question.
Mhm.
This is how important this is. Chris, if you don't do 100 contacts, I have the right to fly to your office and chop off your left arm. Is it still 100 contacts? Your arm's at stake. Is it really 100?
I'm either going to lower my number or have a committed yes.
That's exactly right.
Yes.
So, but you can feel, see, if even in a role play,
Uh-huh.
I could feel a yes from you rather than, because sometimes it's going, you gotta be kidding me. You're lucky if you get 50. So if I chop off your arm, is the number still 100? Well, 80 to 90% of the time, guess what?
Lowering it.
It wasn't. Okay, what's the true number? What's your left arm worth? How many? Well, I'll do 30. Okay, now I'll believe you at 30. I won't believe you at even 50.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get 3 days in of 10 people, we'll be happy.
Right.
See, I don't want a goal. I want an actual number that you're going to do to make your business grow.
Mm.
Just like, I'm going to do this every day. You're not going to do it every day. If you've been doing 5 contacts a day and now you're going to do 20 a day, that's not feasible. But people, and so so in the listening, when you're listening with your whole body, you can hear I'm going to, or you can hear I'm not going to. Or you also can feel there's no chance of even doing 50. And I don't care. I just want one, how many days a week? 5 days. What am I building?
So when you say listen with your whole body, to recap, it is ears and it's
Your,
head and heart. Any other components that I'm missing?
your gut intuition. How many times do you feel intuition in a listing presentation?
Mm-hmm.
How many times you hear it in a conversation with one of your team members? It's there. We just have to train ourselves to use those aspects. Because, like you do something and you listen with your ears and your head. And so you buy in. Okay, I buy into your 100. I know you're not going to do it. You buy in anyway. Your intuition is saying, no way are they going to do the 100. But I don't want to burst their bubble. Well, if you keep missing your bubble and you keep missing your number week after week after week after week, what's going to happen?
More than a bubble's going to burst.
Yeah, the bubble's going to burst and you go, this stuff doesn't work. I'm not going to do this. I'm going to go find some computer. I'm going to go find the silver nugget, gold nugget. All I have to do is walk in the office and all these buyers and sellers will come my way automatically, which it hasn't done. In his 24 years, they've gone from 3 people to 300, and their skills, they start at 20% or 80% off of what they were starting before. So instead of 125, they're starting at 25 because they're so skilled because they practice. I just talked to a guy that did 1,000 closings. And I talked to his team. I said, what do you do on the skill part? 2 hours a day, their first 13 weeks with that team. 2 hours a day of skill building in 13 weeks. 5 days a week times 13 weeks. It's about 65 hours.
Mm-hmm.
If you had somebody do practice scripts and dialogues for 65 hours before they got on a phone, skilled or not skilled?
Skilled.
Close or not close?
Gloves, right.
Appointment set? You're going to be
100%.
down in that 25, 30. And then the other thing is then to teach them to listen to their clients, because most of your clients are giving you smoke screens, not objections. And again, if you listen to what they're saying and how they say it, most people practice getting really good at their scripts and dialogues. Not only should they get good at their scripts and dialogues, they should get good. When you're good at your scripts and dialogues, you don't have to do what on the call. You don't have to think about what to say next. So now you can do what when you don't have to think about doing what to say next.
Actively listen.
Actively listen.
Yeah.
So, practice that. So you have 3 ways of learning scripts. You memorize. You still got to think about it on the call. You internalize, so it becomes part of you. Then you personalize. So one of the things that when I was coaching with Mike Ferry, he would say, if I woke you up at 2:00 in the morning and gave you an objection, could you give me the answer when you're half asleep? If you can, like Diana and I how we practice scripts. She taught me to be really good at scripts and dialogues. She would just call me out of the blue. We had sort of car phones back in those days. They fit in your trunk basically, but this was in the 90s. She would just call me up and say, "Will you cut your commission?" First time I did it, I said, "What?" She said, "Goodbye. You didn't get the listing." I went, "Whoa." So we just called each other randomly throughout the day and just gave them an objection. Because the seller doesn't say, here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to ask you, will you cut your commissions? I'll give you a couple of minutes to think about the answer. And then you can answer the question. They just throw it out, right? You don't get a warning. You don't know where it's going to go. Right. Unless you have a really strong presentation. But so things like that. So the realtor then becomes the listener. Because your clients will give you so many clues, whether they're a buyer or a seller, or they're not a buyer or a seller, if you really listen, active listening.
Example of a smoke screen, Tony.
Smoke screen is you call it expired. What's the first thing an expired is going to tell you?
I'm not interested in hiring another agent.
Absolutely. So that's a smoke screen. We're going to take it off the market. That's a smoke screen. All that, those aren't objections. Those are smoke screens.
Yeah.
So it's the reflex no.
Mm-hmm.
Called the reflex no. You walk into the store, the clerk walks up to you, and what are they going to say?
May I help you find something?
Yes.
No, thank you. I'm good. No, thank you. I'm good.
I'm good.
Yeah.
20 minutes later, you walk out with a bag full of stuff.
And I needed some help. Right.
Yeah. And I needed some help. So then you walk over to them when what?
When I'm ready. When I'm ready to purchase, or closer to purchasing anyways.
Yes.
Yeah.
So just like for your clients even, how do they practice to be a great questioner? So the waiter or waitress walks up to you in a restaurant and says, "What would you like?" Your first response is, "What would you recommend?"
Yeah.
Great. I'd recommend, what would you recommend? And they'd say, well, there's a lot of things. I said, what would you recommend for seafood? What's your best seafood product item? Lobster. Great. So how would you rate your lobster against any other seafood? Now you got into a questioning conversation with a waiter or waitress or somebody in the store. I'm looking for a pair of pants. What's the best brand you have for pants? And so everywhere you go, you just start conversations with questions. So when Diana meets somebody on an elevator, especially little kids, she'll say hi. What's the first question she's going to ask a little kid? That they know automatically. What's your name? The kids will answer, or what?
The parents will answer.
Yep. And a conversation is now initiated. I love your hair. It's great. It's great color. It's great. Your hair looks great. It's a great dress you have on. I'm going, Diana, you got a problem here. Parents are teaching them not to talk to strangers, and you're attempting to start a conversation as a stranger. So anyway, think about that a little bit. Yeah. Anyway, if you just ask a question and listen to the answer. See, and that's another thing about listening. How do you carry on a conversation like Diana said yesterday in a call? Go 3 deep. How do you go 3 deep? You ask the initial question, you listen intently to the answer, and their answer will most likely give you the next what?
Question.
So we're going to take our house off the market. So let me ask you a question, Chris. If you had sold the house, where were you moving to? They can't say we're going to take it off the market. That's not, it's not got anything to do about real estate. So where were you planning on going? We were going to go here to be near the kids.
Yeah.
So what was your timetable? Did you want to be there before now, or are you willing to wait to now or later? Well, we wanted to be there. We were planning on being there before Christmas. Wow. That was 2 months ago now. So how long do you think your grandkids are willing to wait for you to be there? So let me ask you a question. If I brought you a contract at a price that you would be agreed upon, would you sign it? Yes. What did they just say? Yep. You just got the reflex, no, we're going to take it off the market. No, but a lot of times when my clients would be talking to people, prospecting, they would go, never met a realtor like you. Why? Because it was a question-based call rather than a let me tell you what I do call. I'm the number one realtor in the area, I'm blank, I'm blank, I'm blank. The only thing they want to know from you is one question. What's the question?
What's in it for me?
Can you sell my house? Can you sell my house? You're right. That's it. They don't care about what you do. They don't care about anything. Can you sell my house? That's the three standard questions. Most money, least amount of aggravation, shortest time. That's all they're looking for.
That's good.
So we don't ask questions of get the answers of where they are so that they tell us exactly what they want and what they're going to do. So that's all part of this intent listening. You're not there to get the listing. You're there to ask them enough questions that the end result of all those questions is what? Put it the right way. They're gonna hire you to sell their house because you've questioned them into believing that you're the right person to sell the house.
That's good.
Or in any job. Would you be further along in any job if you were better at asking questions?
100%.
Don't tell somebody what you're going to do. Take a presentation and turn it into a question. I'm going to ask for a raise. Don't ask for a raise. Just say, here's a couple things that I've done. Or you could even just say, what are some of the things that I've done that you have felt were beneficial for the company? And they start telling you. So, well, you did this. Anyway, what's the best way of equating that into a monetized aspect? So what you're saying is, this is another way of carrying on the question. So what you're saying is that I helped this company earn $300,000. Would it be fair to say that you'd be willing to share a little bit of that with me?
Of course. Different approach.
Yeah. If I could prove to you I could do that again, would it even be more? Would I be more beneficial to the company? Well, of course. And don't be afraid to ask questions with dumb answers. What I mean by dumb, people go, well, of course they're going to pay you more if you do that. Yeah, now you're saying it to them rather than them saying it to you. If they say it to you, do they believe it more or less?
Yeah.
Now they're willing to give you the raise because you helped them clarify what you helped them accomplish. Does this all make sense?
It does. Yeah. You got my wheels turning, Tony. So we know that behavior, from my understanding, behavior comes from beliefs or thinking. So what's going to be could you help me identify maybe a core belief that changes when one goes from more of making statements to more curious and asking questions? Is there a fundamental belief that you've seen shift that causes one to lean into asking questions?
So what do you think is that belief?
I say an open mindset, coming from a curiosity instead of judgment.
Yeah. What I find is the more questions you ask, the deeper the relationship goes. And then in a deeper relationship, what appears? The more my relationship is, the more they trust me.
Yeah. Building rapport.
So I'm building rapport and I'm building trust. So somebody comes in and vomits all over them, and I come in and inquisitive, and we're having a conversation, not a versation like Diana said yesterday. When it comes to the end of sign the contract, whatever the closing is, are they more likely going to sign it than not sign it?
Yes, because they trust you.
Right. You build instant trust because you didn't jam anything on them. You just asked enough questions. So, like they'll say, what's the price? So what price did you have in mind for your home? And there's two prices that I could ask you. Is there a price? What would you like to list it for, or what would you like to sell it for? So which one would be what you're looking for? So price I sell it for, great. So in a market, there will be three prices on that selling for. You can sell it for what the market says it's worth. You can sell it for a little bit below what the market thinks it's worth, which means you'll sell it what?
Below would be under market value?
Yeah, and you would be what? Sell it what?
At a discount. However, buyers ultimately determine the price, so buyers could bid it up just like at an auction.
Yep. So if we're on the lower end, we got a chance of selling it faster too, right?
Right.
So if you need it sold fast, we might want to look at the lower end, no hurry. We might look at the average. And then some people have a thought that it may be worth more than the market because of all the special stuff. That's also going to lead to what then? So
if there's more buyers?
Yeah, you're going to have to, it's going to take longer to sell.
Oh, yeah.
So we can sell it in a week. We can sell it in average days of 70 on the market. We can sell it in 70 days, or we could price it to sell it in 300 days. Which price is best for you?
That's good.
So they're going to go, well, I'm willing to wait a couple of months. Great. Now, is your family, is everybody in agreement? If you're moving to your kids, you think your kids would like you to have you there faster for the grandkids, or is 70 days okay with them too? Well, or would you like to be there before the 4th of July or not? Or would you like to be there for Christmas?
So you're helping them think about it.
Yeah, because see, a lot of times people go, I'm in no hurry. And I've got a question. I don't ask that. So you're not in a hurry. So let me ask you a quick question. Today is the 5th of February, 2025. Mm-hmm. So Chris, if you're still in this house on February 5th, 2030, are you okay with that?
No.
So there is a time frame. I'm in no hurry. So would you like to be here in 2028? So you're willing to wait 3 years.
You're helping them think through it.
The only way I can help them think is to do what?
Ask questions.
Ask questions. And if you then part of asking questions is acknowledge and repeat their answer, now that takes it from an interrogation to a conversation. So, like I said, so you don't want to be here in 2030. No, 28? Is that okay? 3 years, 36 months, okay? Okay. So what can you not do then? You didn't give me an answer, so what can you not do?
As far as the time frame?
Yeah. You can't answer, you can't save them. You got to still sit in that silence.
Let the silence do the heavy lifting.
That's exactly right. So you got to sit in that silence. Eventually the silence they'll give you an answer.
Yeah.
A lot of times we rescue them. And now all that pausing, that's going to have them really start thinking. They're not answering you because they're not sure how to answer that question. 5 years is an absolute no. 3 years could be on the edge. I don't mind waiting 3 years. Or, heck no, I need to be there in 90 days. So then we've got so let me ask you, is it a little bit below market? And then your response is absolutely true. You can never sell a property undervalued. Most people go, what do you mean? All these houses that are selling that below list price. No, they're not selling below market. They're selling at what? Market. At the market. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever done a transaction with multiple offers?
Yes.
What's the most offers you ever had on a listing?
It's probably 2021, 6 or 7 offers, maybe.
21,
No, 2021,
21, you had 6 and 7 off.
6, 7 offers on it.
So what happened to all 7 people eventually? What happened?
Well, I'm not 100% sure. One of them won, so I suppose.
So what did the winner, at what price did the winner win it at?
Significantly above what the property listed for.
That's not the answer.
Hmm.
So what did the buyer buy it for?
The price that they deemed as
Right,
fair.
say it.
Just
Say it.
what they wanted to pay.
What they deemed market value was.
Yeah,
Who agreed with them that's the market value?
the seller.
The other 6 buyers. Why did they agree with him or them? Nobody else made an offer.
Nobody went higher.
Right.
I
So
see.
all 7 people agreed that was what?
Market value.
Yep.
That's a different
So
way
there
to.
is a market value where 7 people, 25 people, 50 people all agree that's the market value. Nobody went even a dime over. That's market value. I sold it 20% over list. No, you sold it at market value.
That's a good point.
All 25 people stopped. Nobody went a dime over, $1 over, $100 over. Everybody agreed that's the price. Because if it wasn't the price, somebody would have done what?
Not paid that price, a lower price.
Overbid it.
Yeah, the other way up. You're right.
So if I don't agree that's the price, I'm going to go over the price.
Right.
Now I set the new price. Okay? Then the guy or the family that you went over, they don't make an offer and nobody else makes an offer. You're now at what? Market value. All 7 people agreed this is market value. You know, there's a old concept, I can't even think of his name. It's called more is less. He said, list your house 3 to 5% below market. You want to find out what the market is? List it below market. Even in that time, you had 7 offers. You didn't sell it. Nobody took advantage of it. You had 7 people. Nobody bought it at list because they all thought it was worth more than list.
Right.
So they went up to what? They true market value. All 7 people agreed that's the market value. Realtors get in their own way in too many of those. And then we're going, well, I won't tell you what my best offer is. Well, how does that go along with your fiduciary responsibility to your seller? I did one for the district attorney in Boulder. It was a drug house. I brought him the contract offer, and he said, is this the best you can do? I said, well, this is the best offer I got. But I got, and then while I was in his office, I got another offer. I said, I got 2 offers now. He said, here's a phone, here's a private office. You go get me a better price. So I called both of them. I said, neither one of your offers are good enough. So you're going to have to raise your offer. And one raised their offer. I called the other one, said, your offer is no good anymore. Do you want to go higher? I said, I didn't think I could tell realtors. He said, no, you have a fiduciary responsibility to me by Colorado state law to represent me, not represent other realtors. So right now I'm telling you, you go get me a better price. We went 20,000 over. No, we raised the market value by 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
Plus they had to go fill a hole. We got the hole filled. The guy was growing pot underground. So,
I see.
anyway, and I said, well, he said, you better remember who your fiduciary responsibility is. I'm an attorney. And I rule over a realtor and your thoughts because you're violating your fiduciary responsibility.
Man.
Anyway, all those kinds of things, you know, by listening, asking questions, you never get caught in the middle. That's one thing I learned from Diana on the first listing presentation. One is she asked zillions of questions, or to use tie downs. That's a question also. But I counted them. She asked almost 100 questions in a 30-minute listing presentation.
Would you share what a tie down is, Tony?
Does that make sense to you?
Hmm.
So what did I just get? You
You got
said yes.
yeah.
That's a trial close. If I got you to say, does that make sense to you? You would agree with that, wouldn't you? Yes, I
Right.
would. Trial close. Should I expand on that? Do you want me to expand on that aspect? Yes, I would. Another trial close. So if you get to the point where you never need, sorry, so if you get to the point where the trial closes just help you tie down things, but they're almost like trial closes. So if you can get their head going this way, it's hard to get their head going this way.
Right.
The other thing I learned is Diana kept asking questions instead of leaving. I learned from the first appointment I went with her on, you stayed longer than I did. I kind of got bored with this conversation. She never got bored. And I was not skilled enough to stay long enough to close it 10 times or 15 times. So when realtors used to call her and say, how did you get the listing? She would just say, it was your listing. You just didn't stay long enough.
Wow.
And I went, oh my gosh, how many listings did I leave on the table by not staying long enough? And it's because I wasn't skilled enough. I didn't understand asking questions well enough. And I left too soon. And here's the other funny thing. I had a great competitor. Boulder's a town of 85,000 people when I was there. Still 85,000. Can't grow any bigger. It's landlocked with open space. A market of at the time, about 115,000 people. And there were two of us in the top 10 internationally for Remax. So I had a competitor, a real competitor. Out of 65,000 agents, two of the top 10 came out of Boulder, Colorado. So anyway, I eventually had to get really good. Otherwise she was going to beat me.
Right.
And I was somewhat competitive. So what are some of the ahas you're getting out of this conversation that or questions you might want to expand on?
My takeaways, Tony, is I think oftentimes I'm thinking about, like, I'll be meeting with somebody, but my mind is thinking about what's ahead. And so I think a challenge or an opportunity for me is the practice of being present and not jumping ahead to next appointment or the next thing on the calendar, to be present with the person in front of me.
Yep.
Because I think
the best way to be present with them is keep asking them questions. That forces you to what?
To listen more than talk.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
It's good. Okay. We started with preparing to listen. You shared about the example with the desk, clean off the desk. I'm reminded of, like, for me, that represented eliminate distractions. Is there any other pro tips that you have in order to prepare to enter in a conversation with someone, whether it's coaching or a sales meeting or anything for that matter, any meeting?
No, if you prepare to listen, that means you're prepared to listen to every what?
Every
answer to every question.
Okay.
So you were unprepared for their answer because you were thinking about your next listing appointment, which means you're not going to do a very good job of digging deeper with them.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, I bet you they could feel when you were somewhere else.
Yeah. I know I can from others, where it's like they're there, but you could tell they just want to pull away and go to next.
Yep. That's exactly right. So that's really, that's a place you don't want to be when you're getting to the end of the presentation and it's only a 35 minute listing presentation, because by the time you get to the point of what are you going to do to sell my house, you're doing enough closings to say, how many houses have you sold in your career? But how many houses have you sold in your real estate career, you think?
I mean, definitely hundreds. This is my 18th year. That, I need to look that up, Tony. There's one of my takeaways from today. Know my number.
Right. Yeah. Know your number.
I'm sure it's hundreds.
Well, 18 years. So what are you going to do to sell my house? Same thing I did to sell 1,100 houses.
That's good.
Things. So then what would be, is there something specific that your last realtor didn't do if it was an expired? What's something a realtor didn't do that you'd like to have them do? Or if it's just, if you don't have any competition, you don't go there. But you can just say, I'm going to do the same thing. In fact, so far last year we sold, like same thing I did to sell 36 houses last year. When the average realtor in a year will sell 4 to 6 houses.
Right.
So we sold 6 times. So do you want to use the marketing program that sells 6 times the average realtor? Or would you just want to go with the average realtor to sell 4 to 6? Same thing is, do you want to have somebody that's done 1,000 surgeries on you? Or do you want one that's got a book next to them to make sure they do it right?
That's good.
The 2 listings that Diana turned, her last year she sold. She went on 162 appointments, took 160 listings, turned down 2. And that was the question. If you needed life-threatening surgery, would you hire the lowest bidder or the best? And 2 said, I'd hire the lowest bidder. She said, you and I will never get along, and I'll never get your house sold.
Yeah.
Because you won't accept the price that's reasonable. I'd rather turn you down now than let you down later. Goodbye. So she was 100%, 160 out of 160.
That's mastery.
Right? That's mastery.
Yeah.
Most people say that's a wow. Just make the wow your standard. That's your new standard. So somebody took 160 out of 160. So what's your next goal? Well, next goal would be, how do I get 36 straight listings taken? How do I not get a 50% or a 70% or an 80% response? What would I have to do to get every listing appointment I go on? In today's market, you need that efficiency. It's just too dang hard to get enough leads to get enough.
Yeah.
So just like
important.
When people call databases, they give me a call. I want to have a quick conversation with you. Get a phone of an expired. I just want to tell you a little bit about what I do to sell houses. The best response is, please call me. I have a very important question for you. If I left that for an FSBO or an expired, what are they thinking?
If you're calling them,
and I leave the question, please call me. I have a very important question.
Yeah, they think probably that you may have a buyer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Will they call you back?
A higher chance. Yeah.
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 6 times.
Will keep them up.
Same thing with your client.
Yeah.
I have a very important question for you. In today's market, there's a very important question that most people don't know the answer. So in Kansas City last year, did you sell more houses than you did, or did you have appreciation last year or not?
We decline in number of units sold, however, an appreciation in price.
Okay, what was the appreciation?
I think it was about 9%, a pullback from the previous decade, year after year.
Okay, so 9%. And what's your average sales price in your market?
About $285.
5. Okay, so on a 285, what would the loan be? If somebody buys a 285 house, what approximately what do you think their loan will be?
If they're putting 20% down?
Well, if they put 20%, okay, so we'll go 285.
Right, 220.
28. And what do you think is the new tolerant interest rate that they would tolerate? Is it maybe 5? If the market hit 5, would more people be buyers? Would it have to hit 4? I don't think you'll ever see 4 again, but anyway.
5s would be a win.
And rates today are what, 7?
Closer to 7, yeah.
Okay. So on a loan of 228 times 0.02%, it's $4,560 average. This is just call it 280. Let's say they buy. No, they'll go up. If I got a 285 house, what will I buy? Will I jump 3, 3.25, 350? If I move up, what do I move up?
If you sell that one and move up,
yep,
north of 450, probably going to be 5.
Okay, so 285 to, let's just go 4. Okay, but here's the important thing on the 285. The buyer is going to pay an extra 45.60. The reason I asked about the buyers, you do the same thing with the buyers. And here's the model. I'm at 285 and it went up 8%. So it went up $22,800.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not buying a house at 285 to save $4,560. You know what concerns me about that? If you would have bought it at the beginning of last year, you would have made $22,800 in equity. So by not buying a house because you didn't want to spend $4,560, you left $18,000 equity on the table.
That's a different way of looking at it.
Right. And how many people in your database are thinking that way? If you're not thinking that way, your whole dang database is thinking the same way.
Good.
So if I leave a voicemail saying I have a really important question for you, and they call you up and say, "What's the question? Are you happy with the house you're in? Is it a long-term house for you or not?" Never thought of that. So if you were to move, where would you go? Here's the average. So here's the average price. Okay, I'm going to go to 400. What would your loan be? Well, with the equity I've got out of it, I'm going to put 100,000, 150,000. Let's go 100,000. So I'm going to do a 300,000 loan. It's about 2% over market. So it's going to cost me 6,000. That house would have appreciated this year 40,000 times 0.08 would have appreciated 32,000. I just don't want you to leave $26,000 on the table.
Yeah.
This year, it may be 20,000 next year, or maybe even 16 or 18,000 next year, and in another year, and you're only building equity on a 285 when you could be building equity on a 400,000.
Boy, that's good, Tony. I haven't thought about that, man.
Very few people have that. I just got one of those crazy brains. God gave me a brain that looks at things. I'm going, why are you looking at this? In fact, I even talked to my lender, and one of the market centers we own, she came in because she had thought about this. She actually came in and did a presentation to the whole market center. And coming from a lender, it had a whole lot more validity than coming from the OP, because she does this every day. So she must be smarter than we are as realtors. And here's the funny thing, most realtors never used it.
Mm-hmm.
But the people that did sold a lot of houses.
Yeah.
They got people off the fence because of the equity.
Mm-hmm. It creates emergency.
Yeah, creates urgency. So anyway, yeah. I don't want to I've taken over an hour of your time already.
Tony, thank you for today.
The title of it is 12 is create urgency. Overcome buyer reluctance. Well, in the market we're in today, it's create urgency with buyers and with sellers, and overcome their objections. Buyers are even realtors are more hung up on interest rates than buyers are, I think. And they're leaving all that money on the table in equity build, because your market's no different than most markets. Most markets are fewer sales, but the prices are going up just because we still have a shortage of listing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's exactly right.
So we're getting in our own way.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
So stop getting in your own way and take advantage of what the market is putting in front of you. Tactic 11 is what? Market of the moment. The market of the moment for great realtors is equities growing faster. You're leaving money on the table like that, $18,000. You're not buying another house for $18,000 this year and $16,000 next year. Well, that's $34,000. In 5 years, if you just stayed in a house 5 years, even an average of $15,000 for 5 years would be $75,000 extra equity.
Significant. Yeah.
What else are you doing that makes you $15,000 a year for doing absolutely nothing except live in it.
Yeah, seriously.
That's a question.
Yeah.
So what my mind needed to listen to your answer, then I have, well, that's an extra 4,500. But look at the other side of the coin. That's 18,000. So what else did you do last year to make $18,000 without working? Nothing. You could have made that if you had bought a house instead of living in an apartment.
Mm.
In fact, why don't you just go out and write a fake check and tear it up and lay it in the middle of the street, because that's what you got for it. You know, the average net worth of a person living in an apartment is $6,300.
Wow.
You know, the average net worth of somebody that lives in a house, $225,000.
Big difference.
It's from the Consumer Board.
Wow.
People that watch from the Feds, the Fed Trust, the people that control interest rates. That's their. And why are people saving a bunch of money and buying houses right now? Because they can start getting them at a deal in some markets.
Right. That makes sense.
So anyway, I mean, we could go on forever.
Sure.
I don't want to do that.
You're a generous man. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.